up, everybody? Happy Thursday evening. Welcome to, Two on One with Jeff Meacham. So excited to bring these ladies onto the show. I love these two ladies. I love the band. I've known them forever. It feels like definitely one of them. Jenna, Rachael, how are you two? I mean, you're on the eve of returning home, the Viper Room tomorrow night. Just so excited to get down there and stay up way too damn late to be allowed and just have a ton of freaking fun. I'm so happy to see you both. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good, Jeff. I miss you. We can't wait to see you there at the show. It's going to be awesome.
You've been there since the beginning at our shows. Really, since since this Paradise Kitty was a little spawn of an idea, you've been supporting and turning up. So thank you.
But Jeff has been there at the beginning of my career because we've been friends since we were in the 6th grade.
So you know where the bodies are buried, Jeff. And you have all the dirt.
It's one of those things where I always see a meme. You know, I can't have a best friend, not a best friend. The bitch knows too much, so she knows far too much about. And it's so funny. I was going through paperwork. I actually found our 6th grade yearbook. I almost was like, okay, here's the Wizard of Oz thing we did. Here's the first thing I ever saw Jenna do anything musically, but I didn't want to be that much of a dick on the air because it's these little black and white. I like zoom in like this, like here you can see it. It was so fun. It's God.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
You'd be like the horrible mom and dad on the kid's first date when they're like, and here's a picture of him naked in the bathtub.
I am that crazy uncle that when Jenna, you know, has his babysitting the kids, I'm like, that's right. I knew her back when, before my spine curved and my hair grayed, you know.
I knew her back when she was running from the police.
But that was yesterday. But we'll talk about that later. So, like, a lot of people, like we're wondering when I started doing this whole branching out of, not doing just wrestling stuff, how do you weave the different parts of your life into the show? And it's like, well, it was really easy to weave Paradise Kitty into the mix because of this dork and the Nature Boy, of course. I mean, how big a dork is Dolph Ziggler? We love this guy. I've known him forever, and I know you guys, obviously he's a big fan. He's wearing your swag in a picture with arguably the greatest of all time. How in the world did Dolph get hooked up with you guys? Like, that's just crazy. Like, how did that even become a thing?
I think we first met Dolph at, we had a show. We did 2 nights in the casino in Arizona, and he showed up to both shows, and he's waited in line to take pictures with us. Like, he's just a diehard Guns N' Roses fan.
He's a big rock fan.
Yeah, and he came out to the show, and we've been friends ever since. Like, he wears our swag all the time. He's always there promoting.
It was a number of shows he came to before we all became friends. He would literally turn up, buy a ticket, stand front row, sing all the songs.
He played bodyguard to my grandmother when she came and saw us over at Vamped in Vegas.
Oh, that's so adorable.
He took care of my grandmother all night.
That's great.
We ended up just being like, hey, thanks for supporting us, and all the T-shirts he has that he wears of ours, he bought at the merch table. He literally just came in as a fan, and a few shows in, we realized, and we were like, thank you for supporting us and tweeting about us and stuff. And so then we all became friends, and we had him announce us at a show, and he's just really sweet and cool.
Yeah.
It's like his whole Twitter thing is, he goes out of his way to, make sure people think he's not the nicest guy on the planet. And he's so not that guy.
I'm ruining his whole rap right now.
Yeah. We are.
He tries to be the heel, but he's such a gem though.
It's ridiculous how much Nick is not this piece of garbage that he plays on television. It's so cool. Because the first time I interacted with him outside of, it wasn't even outside of the business, because he was supporting John Morrison's stand-up act when he did his first show out there in Hollywood. I was in the front row of the thing with Melina, who John was dating at the time, and she had this spiked watermelon, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to try that. I don't want to go home that fucked up. So I went upstairs to the little bar to get something to drink, and there's this blonde about my hair, and I look, I'm like, that looks like Dolph Ziggler's hair, and he ordered a drink. I'm like, that's definitely, and he and I talked the entire rest of the set. We were up there for like an hour, just blah, 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 blah. So he's great. I love that you've got fans throughout different walks of life, but I don't think I've ever asked either one of you this, and I'm kind of mad at myself now, but looking back, it's good I can ask it here. Rachael, you mentioned I've been with you guys since the beginning. I've supported Paradise Kitty since the beginning. What was the beginning? What was the idea where it's like, okay, we're both doing the musician thing. We've both been doing this thing for a long time. It feels like, what about if we do this? Where did that even come from?
Luckily, Jenna and I, even though we orbited in the same band and musician and label and we orbited in the same scene for a decade, and we had never met each other. We didn't know each other. I think I had heard about Rue, but I didn't know her. Her old label when she was a teenager, I used to work for.
Wow.
We really orbited rather closely without ever meeting each other or knowing who each other was. And a mutual friend of ours had called both of us asking if we wanted to do a Guns N' Roses tribute band. And at the time, I knew people on the legal team that were booking the tour and sorting out the reunion, even though it wasn't announced. So I've always loved Guns N' Roses, and I thought, well, this could be a really good time for it, but I have some pretty strict parameters as to how we're going to do this. I don't want it to be campy. I don't want it to be a gimmick. It's like the girls all got to really play and throw down. And so we went in with a handful of girls, and that's when Jenna and I met, was really at the first Paradise Kitty rehearsal. So Paradise Kitty brought us together.
Wow.
And what this girl didn't know was that she was basically putting fire and gasoline together when she brought Jenna and I together, because we both have the same work ethic and we both have the same mindset. And there's so many musicians out there that, and there's a lot that don't, but there's a lot of musicians that they'll do it for a moment, or they only want to play weekends, or it's just a fun side gig to them. But Jenna and I are lifers. And so the minute she put the two of us together, our hive mind grew into this beast of a tank that will not stop. So nice. I think it's a really good metaphor for that.
That was really good.
I love that you use the word, play weekends. Jenna knows we have a term in the wrestling business, weekend warriors. These are the guys that want to, are okay with that 9 to 5, putting a tie on, going to work stuff Monday through Friday, and then Friday night they're, in the ring and they're in their tight little tights, for 2 nights, and they're back to work Monday. It's like, that's not, you're not a wrestler. You're playing you're playing 1 to 200 people. Cool for you.
They're hobbyists. It becomes your hobby, not your oxygen. And and I think Jenna and I both are people that have made so many life sacrifices to keep doing what we love for virtually no money. Because we love it. And because of that, it's like we really just, I feel like through this project I found a long lost sister and family member. So I love you, Jenna.
I love you.
So,
and Jenna is definitely that person that is family. Once you're family with Jenna, you have to commit some sort of cardinal sin to get her to cut you out of your shit.
Once you're family, you can't get rid of her.
Oh no. Cling on to you. You're not being my friend.
Like we said, the bitch knows so much you can't get rid of her now. It's too late. So
but I kind of I love that. I mean, I think that's part of what always appealed to me of being in a band is having my own girl gang. And I say that loosely, not in blood crip type of gang, but having my own cadre, my own,
your crew,
my own little fighting force of people to conquer the world with. I've always loved that. I've always come from that perspective. And I must say that this girl here, all the singers I've performed with and worked with, and through my day jobs, I've worked with every artist you could imagine, from No Doubt and Marilyn Manson down to everyone you could imagine. That, I know singers get a bad rap. It's called lead singer disorder.
LSD.
So, but Jenna is really her, plug your ears. she has no ego when it comes to stuff. She's such a team player, and such she never goes, no, well, I'm the singer, or she never has that attitude or that vibe. She's always how do we make this better for everyone, and how do we work together? And I'm the same way, and I think that's one of the big keys as to why we took a little tribute band from playing the VU in Santa Clarita to headlining a tour of Australia in a couple of years.
That's crazy to me. And I gush you guys every time I talk about you guys there. I gush about the fact that when the Guns returned to the Garden in New York, you guys were the after party. Like they actually said, "Okay, we want you to do the after party." That for me, like, okay, Jenna knows my wrestling thing and how much Madison Square Garden means to all of us in the wrestling business. So for them to play there and you guys to be the after party down the street, my wrestling fandom and my love for Jenna just went, whoa, like, yeah, that's right, my fucking sister. That's right.
Well, I mean, it was cool because I used to live in New York and I had never been to MSG. And so, you know, here it was, and like we were given tickets to the show that night. And I mean, we could only stay through half the set because we had to go get ready for our show. But like Jen and I went and we watched Guns N' Roses at Madison Square Garden.
And we ran into Dolph there too.
Of course you did.
Oh my God, we did. I forgot about that.
Well, I mean, yeah. Figure that's WWE's home. If they're not gonna, if anybody from WWE's gonna be at the Garden, it's gonna be Dolph Ziggler. So yeah, it's just hilarious. Yeah. So before we get into another story stuff I want to get into, I want to talk about this because it's because of this that I'm going on the cruise myself. I
didn't know you were coming. That's amazing.
Yeah. So
I love it.
So Dad and I were back and forth. It's like, yeah, but it's a lot of money, and yeah, I've never been on a cruise my whole life ever. So
you're gonna have a blast.
Back and forth, and then all of a sudden that image popped up, and I went, "Oh, check this out!" And he goes, "Okay, so we're going." I went, "Wait, what?"
You don't know though. Jeff's family, like not just Jeff, but his whole family is family to me. Like
that's amazing
because we grew up together. So
it's you and your dad, Jeff, that are coming.
Yeah, Dad and I are coming. What's really funny, this is going to go on the air. I'm probably going to get a lot of trouble for it, but that's okay. So, Jenna, the four of us, my brother, my parents, and I went to Disney World back in '97 or whatever it was. I was fresh off football, so I was like this big, like, but you know, decent shape. My brother Patrick's been hounding every year to go back to Disney World ever since. He finds out about this cruise thing. He goes, "What about Disney World? I've been bugging you guys for freaking 20 years." And Dad goes, "Don't worry, Patrick, we'll go next year." So,
well, you could always stay a couple extra days and drive up to Orlando.
Right, if I can swing it, I just might do that.
But if you do that, I would suggest doing Disneyland after the cruise.
Oh yeah,
just in case, because everyone has to test negative to get on the boat.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the plan right now, we're waiting on paperwork to get in because I have to get the passport set up. I had to go through the DMV and the whole. It's been because my California ID got left somewhere between here and Oakland, coming back from the Six Flags trip with Dylan and his mom. Anyway,
Dylan's his son.
So yeah, my son. I forget we're not. So. Anyway, so when they said, "Okay, Patrick will go next year," I've been telling my folks for years, I'm taking Dylan to Disney World for his high school graduation. I'm gonna save my money. I've got money put away I haven't touched in years, and Jenna, that's hard for me, and she knows that. So when they went, Patrick go for free, I gave a look like, huh? And Dad goes, "We'll take care of you and Donald." I was like, okay, so I don't have to pay for a cruise or a Disney World trip for two. Okay, sure. So it's all because of you guys, and I love you guys. So thank you for that.
That's going to be so much fun. Well, I love that you're going to be there because then you can help introduce us to the wrestling world that you may not be aware of. I used to watch wrestling when I was a young kid with my dad. Every weekend, my brother wanted to watch cartoons, and I'd be like, "Let's watch wrestling." So I mean, but I haven't like been an active viewer really in years. So I mean, that was back when it was like Ultimate Warrior and and like The Undertaker, like all. And so I used to definitely watch a lot of wrestling back then when I was like in grade school.
Yeah, you get to be our assistant to let us know who's doing what's what.
Because it's a whole new roster because it's the AEW talent that's on these cruises, not the WWE talent, because of course Chris works at AEW now. So I have this wonderful. We were talking earlier about Jenna, not being outwardly, she does take care of her and her own. The one enduring memory I have of somebody who I got to meet a couple different times after that, but the first time I met Lemmy, he opened up for. He was part of a band that was in the middle of a presentation. It was Rue opened the show. And then Lemmy sat in with, I forget the band's name. They were from Finland. I never remember their name.
Melodrone.
No drum.
Yeah.
That's right.
No drum.
And then the headliner was Black Label Society that night. So as I've told this story on the air a couple times, but since Jenna's here, I'm gonna gush over her helping me out on this night. So as I'm loading the room, the infamous room merch tubs up into the green room at the House of Blues on Sunset. So, of course, it's upstairs because my life sucks. I'm like, okay. And I'm hearing this gravelly voice saying, okay, cool, Lemmy's here. That's neat. So I keep loading. I get the last tub. And I open up the door, and there he is, sitting back there. He's kind of just chilling, like off to the side in the green room, not really, not being really, doing anything. And he sees that I'm wearing the Rue shirt because I'm doing Rue's merch, but I have the WWF hat on. Mm-hmm. And, Lemmy being, such a lover of Hunter, wrestling fan, huh? Yes, sir. Have a seat, young man. Next thing I know, I wake up. It's the following day after 5 p.m. I don't know how this lady got me downstairs into her car and drove me home to Santa Clarita. To this day, I don't know how any of it. I don't know how they. I mean, I was big then. I'm bigger now, but man, I don't know how they did it. And I had
a couple of helping hands, so
I would think. Well, our Rue Tech crew was pretty strong with equipment, so I guess it worked in my favor. How important was he to you? Because I saw the picture when he passed away of the two of you with him, and I was just like, oh man, I'd forgotten how important he was to everybody on that strip, and how much he still means to all of us now. And so I tell people, I still haven't been in the Rainbow to see I still haven't gone down to see the statue. It's like I can't make myself do it. How important was he for you guys?
I think I could speak for just about everyone in the rock and roll world when saying that Lemmy was such a fulcrum for so many people's careers, lives, choices to do what they did, whether they were a Motorhead fan or not. Lemmy he was such a force that, when the pebble of Lemmy dropped into the pond, it created a tsunami wave of ripples that affected all musicians in the rock and metal world. So, I think that's fair to say for pretty much anyone of our generation and the generation before us, the generation after us. Personally, for me, Lemmy, we were friends, and he helped me through some tough stuff in my life, and he was just a really cool person, and he was just like, we miss him dearly because he was just such a sweetheart. And I love that you had that moment, because not everyone has that moment where they got to sit and truly just connect with Lemmy.
Yeah.
Like, people may have sent him a drink at the Rainbow while he was playing his video poker game, or they had a 2-sentence passing with him. But for Lemmy to sit and give you his undivided attention like that was a true gift. And unless you had that moment, you don't know who Lemmy really was. And I had a conversation, at his funeral, basically, with his drummer. And I was like, I'm sorry for your loss. And he goes, don't be sorry for my loss. Like, we need to feel sorry for everyone that didn't have those moments with Lemmy because they didn't know how special it was, because they'll never be able to have that now. And I was like, wow, that's really profound. So
I got very lucky that I had other encounters with him, because for years that was the only one. I didn't remember any of it because, like I said, when you walk into a room and Lemmy's armed with a bottle of Jack and shot glasses, nothing much takes place in your brain after that. It's kind of like you either zone out because you're in awe, or you forget because you're that fucking drunk off the Jack, one or the other. And unfortunately, mine was the latter.
Wait, he had shot glasses?
He was in the green room.
I've seen him rip the lid off of bottles and ask someone if they want a drink and hand them the whole bottle and grab another bottle and rip like everyone that wanted a drink got a whole bottle.
I guess he just saw that I was busy, because he was, there was this little bar stand set up there in that green room on the second floor of the House of Blues. It was the foundation room across from the foundation room. So he was just in there, just randomly chilling after the band he covered said. Like I said, it's very, very faint because of apparently the amount of Jack Daniels it takes to take a grizzly bear down. So, but I love that we've had so many stories over the years. I actually just rewatched the set from Vamped last night going into this because I hadn't seen that show yet because I didn't get a chance to go out there. And you mentioned the girls that went in and out of the rotation over the years. It's crazy how great you guys sound and how well it came off. And then you watch the more recent stuff. It's like, man, these girls are just gelling. They are so zoned in on it. At the same time, they're in tune with it. They all have the same goals. They all have the same wishes for the group, and that's just to just kick everybody's ass and just do the thing. And I think that's so important. And I know that I did my work for the podcasting for somebody else for almost my entire career. It was at the end of 2019. You know what? Shit it out the pot, dude. Either make a go of this or don't, and condemn yourself to retail the rest of your life. And it's been a struggle the last 20 months, but I've got you guys coming on. I'm branching out. It's so important for me anyway, to like, okay, this is what I want to do. Rachael, you said it. You found like-minded people when you had this, initial presentation, initial meeting, and the five of you now are just and it's so cool to see that. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
It's taken a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to find the right gelling group. But man, we definitely got it, and we got sisters there that we'd lay down our lives for, up there on stage or not. They're amazing people. So we're really lucky to have that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you two have the only. I mean, you see it in that minute and a half video I run every show. Rachel's just pounding those drums like they owe her money, but she's into it.
They do lots of it,
and they totally do. They owe you every damn thing. You kidding me? And then Jenna with her damn personality. Jenna, people for the longest time when Rue started, it was they're kind of like Evanescence. Cool. She has evolved so much. Like, okay, yeah, she has a ridiculously amazing voice, but she's a chameleon, and you have to be a chameleon to be a rock and roll lead singer. You have to. Yep. And it's like I said, I've watched her evolve for years, so I've seen the transformation. So it's
don't you dare tell them how long, Jeff.
I swear, the one time I almost said, like, oh, don't type those numbers. No, they'll be death and mayhem in my way.
I love you so much.
I tell people that, basically what I tell people is, as far as going back in time, there is no friendship that has been consistent and stayed true every step of the way that's lasted this long. You are family. Your family is family to me. It was why I was so like, how soon can we pull this off when your mom and I conspired to do that birthday thing for you last year? Because it was just, there was no, I mean, number one, I hadn't been on Disney property for a year anyways. Okay, go downtown Disney. That's cool.
We got to prelude to everybody what happened.
Totally. So basically, Jenna and I both are Disney dorks. Like, we love the mouse, we love the parks, we love everything about it. And we faced a year last year where we weren't going to be going on park property. We were not going to go through those turnstiles. It was not going to happen. And
people like me and you, that's kind of it's our second happy place. First is our work that we do in music and entertainment, and then I want to be there.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where Disneyland, especially the last year and a half, I could have used a park day because all the work stress and all the things, and we didn't get that. So you and I had talked about going downtown Disney anyway for well over a year before it really hit the fan last March, back in last year. So in the process of planning that around your birthday, I get a little bug in my ear going, hey, we're going to do something for her birthday. How long can you keep her occupied? I'm like, how much time do you need at downtown Disney? I think I'm okay. I can make it happen. So while her and I went to downtown Disney to just kind of walk. I'd never been there to just walk around that whole place. I'd never actually seen the entire scope of downtown Disney before. So I didn't realize how big it was. It's a pretty gargantuan sized place. What was really funny was we ran into this guy who's going to be on the show October 21st. He was at the garden walk down at I forgot how far the garden walk was too. Good grief. In this, if you look at my mask, I'm actually wearing my Disney outfit because that's the outfit I wore to be the decoy that day. While we're downtown Disney, her mom, her family, her man are just transforming the bar, the speakeasy up there in Hollywood, into the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, essentially. And she kind of suspected I was on my phone way too much. So, but once I, poured the puddle of myself into the back of the front of the car again after walking from the garden, walk back to the Simba lot because it's October, it's still hot, it sucks. We get there and she opens the door and just big surprise, decorations everywhere. And then we bring out a Mickey Mouse that we had hired to come in and be part of the presentation.
Hired a Mickey Mouse impersonator to dance with.
I'm not surprised. Your mom also rode the elevator on the Monsters of Rock cruise for hours one night, dressed like Chewbacca, just going on the elevator for hours. She just stayed on the elevator, and anyone that got in, she Chewbacca them for hours.
Very much, yeah. That's very much Mama's side. That's just who she is, and I love her. She's
Mama Kitty.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she looked cray too. We love her. It's okay. It's all good.
I'm sitting here going, I'm a full-grown adult, and I've got a Mickey Mouse impersonator character at my birthday party
during a pandemic.
Right? Yeah, we're in this little bitty, bar in the middle of him. And not only have that, we had a vocal talent. Say as Mickey say, hey, we know you're having a tough time with not being able to go in the park, and then Mickey basically introduced himself into the room. It was so funny,
That's
great.
Hysterical.
It was ridiculous.
What really great was it worked out in my favor. Besides being able to be part of the awesomeness that was the birthday party, I have a streak, and this is going to be sickening to say to people that don't follow Jeff on a regular basis. Currently, as of now, I have a 18-year. At least one picture a year streak with Mickey Mouse. So when we took the pictures with Mickey at the bar last year, people thought, oh, well, that's not really Mickey. You weren't on property, doesn't count. I had Brett Iwan go, the effort to me privately, the effort you made to make that day happen, count it. Okay, if the voice of Mickey tells me to count it, I'm gonna count it. So unfortunately I faced okay, how am I gonna do that this year? I couldn't. There's no way. So I'm actually going to go on Mickey's anniversary. I mentioned that on social media. I saw your comment that you're going to be going pretty much next week, right? 25th.
Yeah, my mom got me tickets, tickets to go in not next week, but after we come back, because I wanted to make sure, because we have the Viper Room, and then we have 2 shows in Pennsylvania the following week. So I wanted to make sure that if I was going to go. I was going to go afterwards so that I wouldn't be exposed to thousands of people and then exposing my band to COVID.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. On behalf of Paradise City fans, thank you. We appreciate that. But how is it? How challenging? I haven't talked to anybody that's been performing or not performing, I should say. How challenging has it been to work something like this out? I mean, like you said, you haven't been home to the Viper Room in over a year, and now we've got tomorrow night, you guys are coming in there, and then 15. If buy your tickets now, it's $5 less expensive before tomorrow. Just saying.
Exactly.
Viberoom.com. And I'll run the actual video and I'll pretty it later. So, but I know it's been challenging to do any damn thing. Like I said, getting into Disneyland is like trying to get into Fort Knox with a freaking plastic key. It doesn't work. So, how have you guys overcome the challenges of we want to do shows, people are still freaked. Especially California, we're a shit show. We suck. So how has that been for you guys to navigate that and still get the bookings and make them happen?
It's a mess.
Yeah, it's been, honestly, it's been really hard.
It's really stressful.
Yeah.
Like Jenna and I speak almost every day, and, I'd say 75% of our conversations are right. I'm so nervous about going out on the road because we're responsible for all the other girls we're taking out with us.
Oh yeah.
And if something goes wrong, that's on us.
Yep.
And it's really, really, really stressful. And we've been really trying to do our best to, a lot of these shows got booked when things were looking up and everyone started touring again. Now things are shutting down again.
Yeah.
And the shows at the level we're playing probably won't get shut down. So that makes it 10 times as nerve-wracking and scary. Really.
Yeah.
It's really scary because if something goes wrong out on the road, what do we do? So someone tests positive in the middle of Wisconsin at the beginning of a tour. We can't fly them home. We can't fly home. We now have to quarantine in a hotel room in Wisconsin for 10 days.
Yeah.
And we don't have the KISS budget or the Limp Bizkit budget or the, we don't have those budgets to do that. We aren't touring at that capacity. Or like, who was telling me the other day that one of the bands that they're touring in a total bubble. They go from the bus to the stage to the bus. They don't do dinners with the rest of the band and crew. They're completely isolated. The only time they're around people is when they're on stage with the rest of the band that's been isolated.
Yeah.
So we unfortunately don't have tour buses. We don't have COVID compliant people to follow us around and make sure we don't get COVID, but that still happened with Paul Stanley. So
which was crazy, right?
Yeah, but they, like the KISS members, they each had a COVID person that was with them 24/7 to make sure they didn't get COVID. Yeah. So, with that being said, it's I mean, we have these shows booked and it's really such a juxtaposition of emotion because we're dying to get out there and play. The last show we played was closing the Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yeah, then 2020.
February 2020.
Yeah,
so we're dying to go play. But at the same time, like the amount of nerves and anxiety around everything that could go wrong between now and then is really stressful. It really takes a toll. So
I mean, when you think about it, you mentioned February 2020. I was in Las Vegas 12 days before this, like March, when it actually started. Like, really, okay, now this is some serious shit. So I came back from a birthday trip up there, and like I'm on the train home, and like everybody's acting so weird. And then I like see news reports. I'm like, oh, and it's just kind of devolved from there. I love to say evolved, but it did for a minute, and then it started devolving. If Dolph happens to sneak into the Viper Room show, we gotta ask him how they're doing, because I know the WWE folks. They're in that contained Thunderdome for a year and no audience, no anything, and then man, like. You guys know, you performers, you musicians, the rush of that crowd cannot be replicated, cannot be duplicated, cannot be CGI'd in or, piped in noise. On TV, it looks great. But yeah, it's so funny. I was in the Thunderdome a few times as an audience member. The sterile presentation, it was like, I feel like I'm taping a 50s TV show in the studio and, clap for this, boo for this. Like, this is lame.
You can't fabricate that energy exchange that happens between an audience and a performer.
Yeah.
You just can't. There's a definite energy exchange that happens there that can't be.
And I mean, for us, that's the reason why we wake up in the morning, so to have a year and a half go by without our reason to be, it's been very freaking hard. And emotionally draining, but also having that loom that something could happen and somebody could get hurt based upon a business decision. That's scary too. So it's all stress, but it's nothing is written in stone. Every day we have to just take it with a grain of salt and see what happens. And if things cancel or things get moved or if somebody gets sick, it's just, we got to hope for the best and keep pushing forward, and things just happen. They happen for a reason. I got to believe that all of us have started. We've all started to learn how to take things a lot slower instead of forcing it.
Be flexible.
Yeah.
Just like I think the whole world has had to learn how to just go with the flow because there's forces at play that you can't negotiate with.
Yeah.
You mentioned keep moving, keep moving forward. That's another great Disney quote. That's what you always talk about. Keep moving forward. Don't let the presentation get. Don't get complacent. Don't get, too full of your own shit to realize, you're no better than the person in front of you, the person behind you. That was their philosophy, the company, for many years. This has been a whole thing where you have to keep moving forward, because if you don't keep moving forward and you just shut down, like I said, her birthday was one of the few times I went out, period, last year. Yeah. I don't mean, going on a trip. I don't mean the few times I walked out of that front fucking door last year. I didn't, because
that's intense. That's intense, Jeff. That's like, and it's been like that for so many people, and that's like so intense. Like, humans are social mammals. We are pack mammals, and to have that isolation and that like going from complete stimulation and interaction to like zero was really traumatic for a lot of people. And it's even people that were total extroverts, it's made them introverted. Or, even introverts were like, okay, I'm a little too introverted and I'm going to have a really hard time being out in public again.
Yeah.
It's such a weird time but everyone in the world's going through it. Nobody's exempt from this right now. This is a global issue. It's not just like LA's having a tough time, or, my family or my neighborhood or my block or my school or my job. It's like, it crosses all borders and boundaries, and it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned how intense it was, Rachel. I mean, I went from having that where I was out of the house a grand total of maybe 3-4 times in 2020. This last summer, I flew from LA to Atlanta to Chicago to San Francisco, back here. A week later, I was in Vegas with 50,000 people in a stadium, and then, now I'm going on a cruise for 4 days. I've never been on a cruise before in my life. And it's like, it's a very different year. And like, I'm just like, again, on the planes, traveling with Dylan and his mom, not so worried about it because, I know that the freaking planes are being, basically beach sterilized every time people get on and off, and I get that. The stadium, I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie, going into Vegas and just being in Vegas, which is also like California, been a complete shit show with this whole thing. I mean, Josh and Catherine had their son's birthday here because their family's here. It's like they didn't want to bring people into Vegas because it's just
they don't know who Josh and Catherine are either.
I know that.
They're good friends. They're very good friends with both mine and Jeff, guys.
Yes, yeah. People have seen pictures of me at Josh Catherine's wedding on the channel, which is why I didn't go too far into the story. But
okay.
It's okay. It's all good. So yeah, it's you having to have the awareness of, okay, I'm going to this place. This is how this place is right now. It may not be that way by the time I get there or by the time I leave to come back. It's a constant, everybody having to be on the balls of their feet. Like, okay, what do we do now? What do we do now?
Adaptability. Like, everyone's got to just be fluid. And I think the other thing that's really important that some people do, some people are having a harder time with, but I think it's just really necessary for all of us to get out of this mess, is for people to be fluid, but also to not realize that any of this is a personal attack. It is what it is, and we all just need to do our part to make things better. I've heard so many people be like, but I deserve to travel, or I deserve this, or I stayed home for this amount of time, so now I get to do this. And it's like, there's really no entitlement here. It's just really people are still dying. There's like, we all got to kind of do our part, and every time you leave your house, you're taking a risk and you're taking a chance, and you just have to weigh that chance and do your best to be safe, and like, wear a mask, wash your hands.
Yeah. Like, do your best not to be a germ walking around,
But my dad used to say, if you aren't part of the problem, you're part of the solution. And I think that really applies.
Yeah, that's a great quote. I've always said that, if you're not part of our solution, you're part of the problem. You don't need to be part of my anything. Just get out of my circle. Thanks. Yeah. Appreciate that. And it's, you talk about, going to crowds and, you're in the Jericho cruise. Chris and Fozzie went back to work relatively quickly after it started, and they caught major shit because they did the show at the Sturgis rally. There's no COVID compliance in Sturgis. Are you kidding me? During that rally, there's no friggin' way. So they caught major shit. It's like, he was like, nobody was there with guns to the guy's head saying, you have to come to this show.
But what's crazy is I've known people that have gone out and done shows that were in very sterile environments where it was like backs only, masks required, socially distanced, and they came home with COVID.
Yeah.
And I know people that have gone out and done wild rogue things like Sturgis, and they've come back without a problem.
Yeah.
It really like, the bigger issue is non-discriminating against, like, COVID isn't looking at your contract.
No.
COVID isn't checking to see, it's just, it really is non-discriminatory, and it doesn't check to see whether you stayed home for Thanksgiving, and so that means you get to go visit your family for Christmas.
Right. Exactly.
It's not it's non-negotiable. This isn't something that you can negotiate with or to or about. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like, speaking of Jericho though too, and like the one thing maybe that he might have got from all that is that, like, the cruise coming up is so COVID compliant. Everybody has to be vaccinated. There's going to be masks on the board, on the boat. There's COVID testing, like, this is it's to make sure that everybody's got full on safety. So I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable being there and playing in that situation. And I mean, I'm looking forward to those kind of situations really coming into play and becoming more part of the norm, because it's thing is that it's become such a big political thing, and it really shouldn't. It should be a scientific thing where, and it's going to end up being a scientific code for most establishments. And
again, people are trying to negotiate with the virus. It doesn't negotiate.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And we all, and the only thing we could do is, instead of negotiating, the only thing we could do is like care about our fellow humans and do our best to try to keep each other safe.
Yeah, and Jericho and the AEW roster have been fortunate that they've been in front of crowds. Yes, they've been very tiny, spaced out at Daly's place for, like I said, almost a full year. So they and the management at AEW has had to, like, okay, if this happens, they've had to evolve as they've went along here. So Chris, thankfully, being part of that, goes, okay, well, if they're doing this here, I'm taking how many people on a boat into the Bahamas with me? How can I make sure they're safe? So thank God for that.
And I know the cruise lines have their own rules and regulations as well. Like, we have tour dates leading up to the cruise, and Jenna and I have had discussions about, like, we need to be really diligent out on tour, but we need to be like insanely diligent on those tour dates because we're going to be touring to the cruise and then have to test to get on the boat.
And for me, I got unfortunately stuck in a situation, and I was thankful Jenna was doing her little solo sets on the weekends because I got stuck somewhere for 3 weeks having COVID because a clinic decided they needed to meet their quota for government funding that week. So I got a false positive, and I'm stuck at my sister's house for 3 weeks. But like I said, she did her set, and then when she would do her sets every week, her and I would get on the phone for an hour and a half and bullshit afterwards. So luckily, I had her to keep me company while I was sitting there sick. Didn't have a thing wrong with me. And it's just it's so nice that music, whether it's been on Spotify, whether it's been watching concerts on TV, and now that we're going back we're on the road, music has always been one of those things where if you can't find a reason for a song, one or the other, to bring you together with somebody else, I'm not sure you're vibing as a human, because music is so universally inclusive. And the fact is,
it's a unifier.
And unfortunately, so is this damn virus. Or at least it should be. The virus should be. Instead, it's been a major divider because, like you said, it's become political, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't be my party thinks this thing. It should be, we're human beings and we're fucking screwed. Let's fix this thing.
The virus isn't giving endorsements. Again, can't negotiate, can't give endorsements, can't reason with it. You can't beg and plea with it. You can't ask it to step back. You can't be like, listen, you're getting evicted. Doesn't work. Like it's a non-intelligent thing that is basically poison in the well, and we all just need to do our part, and like we need to really just see it for what it is, and that's not a political pivot. That's not it's just humans need to really draw together and work together to like work on this. It's just it's really the only way out of this is people pulling together instead of pushing apart. But I'm such a hippie at heart. That's my theory and my life motto about everything. So
there you go. Exactly. So why the Viper Room? Why is the Viper Room the first tour, the first date back?
It's home.
Yeah, it's our home, and when we wanted to play, like we weren't, so we had the cruise, it was booked, obviously it got pushed from last year because of COVID, and so that was all we had on the books at first, and I was like, we should, once the Viper Room started opening, they reached out to us, and obviously as they were just starting to open and book again, they were doing things differently and trying to see what would work and what wouldn't work, and a lot of promoters are nervous to give guarantees because they don't know what's going to happen, and we do not do door deals. So we basically, the Viper Room was like, you guys are part of our family. We want you to help us come back. Do you want to be a part of this? And we were like, hell yes, because we love the Viper. It's kind of where we cut our teeth, and just they've always taken such good care of us. And so Jenna and I talked about it, and I was like, we don't do door deals, so why don't we play for free that night and donate it to charity? Like let's give back. Let's have our first show back being something where we pay it forward. So we chose the Music Unites charity, which was started by a woman I've done a lot of work with, Michelle Edgar, who's just a phenomenal human. And at first, Jenna and I, of course, Jenna, we went straight to we went straight to like, let's do animals because we're, like you don't know this, Jeff, but there's a third person on the podcast right now.
I kind of figured there would be. Yeah, I was waiting for that. Yeah, I was waiting for that because it's funny. As many pictures that I see of the two of you together on stage and whatnot, there's as many pictures of you guys when you're in Australia, with the animals. I'm like, yeah, it's about right.
Yeah, we're with our entire band and all the girls we hire are all insane animal lovers, so that's great. Absolutely. But so we went to animals, but then we really just had a long think tank about it, and we were like, this quarantine time has been so hard, especially for the kids that aren't teenagers that are emotionally maturing. It's been hard enough on adults. Imagine being hormonal and 15 during this time. I can only imagine how difficult that's been on the kids.
I have a 13-year-old, so yeah.
It's affecting their social development, having to quarantine and stuff. So we chose Music Unites, which is an amazing charity that brings music education and opportunities and instruments into schools that don't have budgets and for underprivileged kids. And they do some really cool stuff. So that was our way of just kind of paying it forward. It's we're we're going to go play for free tonight, and anything that we make, we are going to
donate it all.
We're going to donate to help out, so.
And like you said, the Viper Room's home. It's been, I think I've been in that, other than the Key Club when it still was a thing, because we lived there for 2 years with Rue. But I think I've been in the Viper Room more than I have any other club down there because of this lady. So I love the setup, I love the vibe of the place. It's just so
it's got amazing. A vibe, right?
And it always has.
Real. It's just rock and roll.
It is. The place.
It shouldn't be a good place with the small stage and the way it's set up. It should not be a good place to have shows or to perform shows. And the stage is so tiny, and everything about it on paper should say this is not great. This is a shit show. But everything about it, we always have the best shows there, and it's so much fun. And that place just really has magic in its walls, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I was definitely grateful to be the merch guy when we did the Viper Room, because I had to load equipment in like the other tech guys. I'm like, I'm going to sit back and put my box here and just, if I need to help, I will. But man, loading into that place is murder.
Real load-in is when you have a place with 3 flights of stairs and no loaders to help you at the venue.
And there's no back line.
And your bass player's playing an 8x10 cabinet, and you all look at each other and you're like, we can't even lift this over the curb. How are we making it up 3 flights of steps?
That's okay. Jenna knows the struggles of doing that stuff, because we had my son's mother go up the flight of stairs at the Roxy, so it's in a wheelchair. So that was fun. Yeah. Because the elevator was completely down, and we're like, how do we get her? And freaking the Rue crew was like, I'm watching this like, we are not human beings. We are superhuman. We are crazy people. Just one of those perks about the group was just like, God, we're just a strange breed. But I did want to run the ad real quick here before we sign things off here. Where the hell did I put it? There it is. This was coming up tomorrow night out in Hollywood, guys. Check it out.
Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. Whoa, we shall
All right, man. Thanks.
I'm getting excited.
I know, right?
Can we go play now?
Yeah.
Hey, Jenna, can we go to the Viper Room and just wait now and just wait outside and wait for them to open so we can be ready for our show?
And they're like, what are you idiots doing here? Like,
let's go. 3 days early. We're here. We're ready.
I mean, it's only like 4:45 on a Thursday, but hell, let's go anyway. Why not? It's always happy hour for us three. So,
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, exactly. So before we sign off, I just want to, I want to plug the event. I'll throw the crowd for the 1,000th time because I want to get it in people's brains. Tomorrow night, the Viper Room, the legendary Viper Room out in Hollywood. Paradise Kitty with Heavy Velvet. It's a benefit, as you said, Rachel, for Music Unites. I can't even stress how important that is. I actually was going to say it before I ran the ad here. You'll be proud, Jenna. Your little nephew is not only learning to play guitar, he's in beginning band at junior high school.
Oh, yay, Dylan!
And I was
my boy.
I was like, damn, if only Les was still there. Oh man, that would have been so cool to have Les instruct him after all these years. But
I don't think anybody knows who Les is besides me and you two.
It's all right. Doesn't matter.
He's my old music teacher, guys.
I think I met him once.
Yeah, you have. He's been to shows.
Once,
yeah.
I've got a very supportive family base.
Yeah, and
Jeff, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, and that's the thing. Like her, like it's their family moving into this community up here and starting out at the elementary school we started out at in 6th grade. Like I see people at her show, you guys' shows, that I never see anywhere because right now we're not going outside. Granted, it's so cool that we, and again, I'm gonna probably sound way out of over the top here. We as a community have been able to take pride in, hey, she's one of us. Like she came, she was bred out of here. Like Santa Claria's got Six Flags, but
you're totally pulling the embarrassing uncle move.
Of course, 100%.
You're gonna make me blush.
Well, it's why when you guys first started and you played the VU that you couldn't get into the damn door. Because that
was our second show.
Yeah,
that was our second show. And at that show, we were auditioning members.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And at that show, we were being scouted by the Monsters of Rock cruise to get our butts on that boat. So
yeah, I mean, show 2 is just like I mean, you had your guys' first show, which I unfortunately had to miss, but man, that's there's so much shit going on in that second show that until now, people had no idea how crunch that day was. Like it was just so
that was really like an access point, like an axis, not an access, but an access point for us.
Yep.
Yeah, that was are we doing this or not? Looks like we're doing it.
Yeah, that was Jenna and I were like, are we going to do this or not? Like, because it was also, after we did that first show, when we did this band, we wanted to make sure that the Guns N' Roses guys were cool with it because it's their music, it's their brand, it's their creation, and although we're like paying homage to it, like if they aren't cool with it, we could easily get a cease and desist, and they can make us stop. So we weren't about to invest a bunch of time, money, and effort into something that would get squashed in 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. And so, after that first show, Axl started tweeting about us. He saw videos from the show and he really liked it and he gave us a thumbs up. So at the VU, we were like, okay, we know that Axl's cool with us and it's a go.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And I know as a performer, that's key. Like if you're attributing somebody, if you're, homaging somebody, once you get that artist, like, okay, you're good to go. You lose about 20 pounds of, okay, cool, good to go now. I mean, trying to, a great example. A friend of mine did a fan film that's going to premiere in a couple weeks on YouTube. His trailer has the entire John Carpenter, the din 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 din. I can't air that trailer on this channel. This channel makes me money. That's not my music. So I had to edit the entire background music for some. I found some, copyright free music, but it's like I felt bad because I mean, there's nothing more iconic in horror than the John Carpenter piano from Haunt Halloween, but I can't use it because I get dinged for it. So if I can't make money off somebody's fan film I'm promoting, doesn't really work for me. So the fact that Axl, like after the very first show, and that's the thing, you guys got such a buzz so quickly after that initial outing that it almost felt like coming home and doing that show here was really okay. We were out there in the world. Axl saw us. We got to go now. Now we'll see how the fam treats us. And of course, everybody at the VU, just loves you. I mean, unfortunately, the VU's not the VU anymore, but we totally, we were able to.
Her hometown gig,
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like I saw every incarnation of a band of hers at that place at one time or another. Usually saw merch for most of them. So it's and having the owner pour me way too much liquor for way too little price. But just great.
Happens to the best of us sometimes.
It does. But I love that I was able to finally get you both on. Like I said, Jenna came on during the group show I did way back when, again, years ago.
Yeah.
And
years ago.
But just having you guys to talk to and talk about the band and talk about the world that the band has to exist in, pre and post COVID. I mean, we're still not post COVID, but post complete lockdown COVID, and it's so awesome. I can't wait to get out there tomorrow night to get down to the Viper Room and check this out. I cannot wait to board that plane and fly to Miami and get on this cruise. I'm so excited. Like it's so funny. The main thought, okay, cool. I get to see my friends do this in front of my audience. Like, it's just weird.
That'd be awesome.
That's going to be a thing. And of course, I'm looking forward to singing Judas along with Judas with Chris Jericho, because I'm a wrestling fan. I'm an idiot. So it's going to be such an amazing night. And I will talk to you guys off air in just one second. But thank you both so much. I really greatly appreciate you guys coming in.
Coming up next week here on the show, we've got our old friend Rick Ellis on the eve of the big anniversary show for the West Coast Wrestling Company. He's defending the championship. And then, oh my, in 2 weeks, the lovely, finally on the show, Alexander the Red. Cannot wait to finish this month strong, you guys. I love it.
Or Rachael, Rine, and Jenna Syde of Paradise Kitty. I am Jeff Meacham. This has been 2-on-1 with Jeff Meacham, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thank you, Jeff.